Hello everybody, welcome to another free English conversation class offered here at Approach. Today we'll be talking about budgeting our finances. Like always, if you are watching on YouTube, we would love to talk to you in person today. All you have to do is scan the QR code and we'll be able to talk to you directly through Zoom. I'll give us a little bit of time. Hopefully we have a lot of people who would like to have a conversation today. Here at Approach, we are in Massachusetts, and the weather today is perfect. Figured I'd mention that.
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, we have Fernando, Martin,
How are you?
Fareed. I'm doing good. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm good. Thank you.
We have Miriam, Furkan. Alrighty. We have no videos today. If you guys would like to turn on the camera, I would love to talk to you a little bit more in person, but this is okay too. Alrighty. How are you, Martin? How are you doing today?
Perfect.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. Alrighty. We'll hop right into it. All right, everybody. So today's topic, we'll just be talking a little bit about how we manage our money. And it's very different depending on where we live throughout the world. So I would love to learn more about you specifically and to learn a little bit more about the area of which you live. So I have a couple, call them warm-up questions for today before we hop a little bit more into it. The first question that I'd like for us to think about and share: what do you usually spend your money on each month? And I'm sure we will get a lot of different responses from our friends over here on Zoom. Okay, we have a few more people. Yagesh, welcome. Luan, nice to see you again.
Hi, teacher. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, guys, so on the topic of managing our money, what do we typically spend our money on every month? Would we have a volunteer who would like to share?
Mostly we use it on shopping and grocery.
Oh, very cool. We have music, shopping, groceries. Nice.
Maybe billings of the electricity or water.
Absolutely. Yep, got to pay those bills. We'll talk a little bit more on bills just next slide. So you are ahead of the game, Luan. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Fernando, what do you typically spend your money on each month?
Hello, everyone. So this topic is a very hard topic. I think it is not simple to talk, but we need to improve the English, and I would like to talk a little bit. In general, I spend my money with my family, with the school of my kids, and the English course, of course, and and the supermarket and the book, and anyways, is that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Definitely family, investing in your children's education, buying books, of course English, that helps. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Fernando.
Oh, girl.
We have a few new people today. Would anybody else like to share what do we typically spend our money on each month?
Well, can I talk?
Absolutely, Igor. Nice to see you.
Okay, hi everyone. Basically, with stuffs that is needed for to live. So, supermarket, pay the bills, and that's it. A little bit of that money we can expend in something, certain things for uh, chill out. And I don't know if I can use that word, but
Would you mind repeating that phrase just one more time? Chill out.
chilling out.
Chill out?
Yeah,
Okay, yep, awesome. So take it easy, relax a little bit, use the money for fun.
yeah, that's it. That's it. But I don't live in America. I live in Brazil, actually. And most of people here, we just get money enough to survive that month. So it we don't have so much money to save money in the end of the month, which is terrible. I know that, but that's it. That's life.
Okay, and for you, Igor, are we trying to maybe add a little bit to our savings if we have a little bit of money at the end of the month? Are we trying to save on to a little bit for the future?
Every people try to do that, but it's not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Life is very expensive, and I live in Rio de Janeiro, one of the most expensive cities in Brazil. And just to live, it's expensive here. And obviously, we try to save money, thinking for the future, especially when we have kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a good amount of money that we can save every month, and sometimes we have to use that money in an emergency. And you're always trying to rebuild the money that you replace the money that you was saving.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Igor. It's nice to speak to you today. And hopefully, by the end of the hour, we'll talk about maybe a couple different ways. It might not work for everybody, and I really do appreciate you sharing. Money can be difficult, and sometimes having a conversation where we can talk about our personal experiences, and we'll hear from our other friends on Zoom today, we might be able to learn a couple new ideas that maybe can help us out in the future. So I really
Yeah.
do appreciate you sharing.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, let's go to our next question for today. Do we use a budget? And to explain a budget, many people declare or they have a certain amount of money that they are able to spend each month. And sometimes creating a budget can help us really keep track of where our money is going. And I personally believe it's a great idea to make a budget, even if it's just on a piece of paper, just for a way to connect a little bit more with the idea of how much money we are making and where that money is going by the end of the month. Has anybody here ever tried to create a budget? Or if you have a budget, I would love to learn a little bit more about how that works. So does anybody here try to budget their money, their expenses, just to have a good idea of how much we should be spending each month depending on how much money we make? Okay, that's okay. Today might be a little bit, maybe a tiny bit more advanced of a topic, but I'm still happy to go through a few more questions, hopefully to engage a conversation. Um, so
And
that Sabine, would you like to share?
yeah,
Awesome. The floor is yours. Sabine, do you use a budget?
uh, no, I don't use a budget. It depends on my salary because I am a nurse, so I work like home care, so I have a daily salary.
Okay. Oh,
So it depends on this.
okay. How do you enjoy your job working with home care?
It's so hard sometimes, and sometimes it's so easy. It depends also on the patient. If the patient she is so hard, or also depend on the case. The one now she only have Alzheimer.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Thank you for sharing. Okay.
Thank you for hearing.
Of course, Sabine.
Hayatta.
All right, interesting. Um,
Hello.
okay. Yes, Momina, would you like to share?
Yes, sir. I say about myself. Uh, Budgeting is very important, especially when we are living in a new country. My husband and I try to manage our monthly income carefully. Mostly, we write down our expenses like rent, food, transportation, and saving. This helps us to avoid unnecessary spending and plan for the future. I think having a clear budget gives us a peace of mind and helps us stay organized.
Wow. Yeah, I love that response. It helps provide us a peace of mind. And that's really important that you mentioned that too. When we talk about money, it can be difficult because we all live very different lives. Some of us have families. Some of us have to spend maybe a little bit more money each month than others. And I agree 100%. Having a nice budget that is consistent and something that we can rely on can really make sometimes difficult times a little bit easier. Peace of mind will absolutely take us a long way. And with that, too, mental health is very important. And money can be very stressful. And stress can sometimes lead to anxiety. And one of the maybe the quickest ways we can really try and help reduce our stress is to create a budget. That way we know what we need to spend our money on. And, you know, sometimes life will have unexpected things happen. And we might need a little bit of extra money. Maybe you get a flat tire when you're driving to work. Maybe a family member becomes sick. So a budget can really help out when it comes to preparing us for the future and for today. Thank you very much, Mamina. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Luan, did you have your hand up earlier? Or are you okay?
Yes, I have my hand. I second because I don't have a budget, but my dad have a budget every month. With that budget, he knows how much he needs to pay for the bills, for the gas for his car, or how much he needs to save for an emergency. For example, if we have a problems with the gas, or with the car, or with the house, he have that amount for the emergency. I don't know how much is, but he always have it for saves. And he have a budget for
No, man.
uh, every month for how much he need to pay for the food or for the water or if he need for the hospital.
Wow. Oh, thank you for sharing, Luan. Yeah, definitely highlighting a lot of the benefits to tracking what we need to spend our money on through a budget. That's great. I appreciate it. Awesome. Let's see down here. This one might be funny. All right, everybody. On the topic of money, what is one thing that you think might be a waste of money? Maybe something personally that you choose not to buy. And I think we'll get a few very interesting ideas. So one thing that we believe is a waste of money.
I think it's definitely.
Oh, there we go.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yep. Was that Melvin? Igor?
Yeah, I think definitely is to spend money with online games.
Oh, yes.
Gambling. I was gonna say that actually.
Oh, awesome, Melvin.
Gambling, like lottery and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a big waste of money, and I have to be careful because my son loves to play, and I need to keep my eyes on him because all the time because he probably wants to buy a nice sword to his character, and it costs few dollars. And no, 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 not today, my friend.
I do like how you mentioned that. So here at Approach, in the past, in our campus, I was lucky enough to teach a marketing course. And we had an entire week where we looked at exactly what you are talking about. They are called micro-transactions. And you described it perfectly. And myself, I am 26 years old. And when I was growing up, there were so many different mobile games for your phone. And a lot of them had those in-app purchases where it might just be 99 cents, maybe $2. And at the time, it's 99 cents. It doesn't seem like very much, but it can definitely build up over time. I see you nodding and shaking your head. I had friends growing up. If we know the game, it was popular a few years ago, Clash of Clans. It was a very popular game that you could download on your phone. And one of my friends growing up, he spent too much money on that game, and his parents were not happy at all. And
There's no reason to spend money on games. If if your game become play anything else, but don't spend money on that.
I agree. We work hard for our money, and to spend it on a mobile game or sometimes even in a video game, I would agree. We can spend that money in a better way. Thank you very much for sharing. That is a really big topic to bring up, and I agree. Cool. And it was, where'd he go? Melvin, you were agreeing with that. Do you have any experience with those micro, meaning very small purchases through apps or video games that you would like to share?
I do, and to be honest, I'm guilty of that because sometimes I just, want my son to spend some time on the phone. Maybe not so often, but He likes to play Roblox. I think that's what's called.
Yep.
And he's always asking me to buy him some robots or something like that.
Yep.
And I give in many times. I give in and buy him. As you said, sometimes they're 99 cents, sometimes close to $5 or something like that. But then you add up all of those expenses and you see it's quite a good amount, right? That maybe you could have invested on something else, something that's gonna bring more benefit, or the food that you have to bring to the table.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. You are not alone. Um, let me tell you. Um, awesome. Great participation. I appreciate it, you guys. Fernando, do you have something to share?
Yes, okay. To be honest, to me, waste of money is when I change it for new things. For example, if I have a car and I change my car by a new car. If I have a smartphone, I change my smartphone by a new smartphone. I think this situation that always changing the things the by new things. I think this is a waste of money for me.
Okay, yep, just the cycle of you buy a phone, a few years later, a newer version comes out, we buy the next one. Same deal with a vehicle or a car.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you, Fernando, what do you do
Yeah.
for work?
I'm a professor.
Oh, interesting. What do you
Yeah.
teach?
I'm a mathematical professor.
Oh, wow. Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. And
Great.
nice. So you have to go to the university every day for work?
Yeah, yeah. I listen at the university. Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, I understand your idea. Nobody likes paying for, if you have a phone and it works, it still works pretty well. To have to upgrade in the future, it can definitely be a pain. But for your vehicle, that is what brings you to work, how you make money. And I absolutely understand. It can be a little bit frustrating, just year after year, having to replace old objects, utilities, a vehicle. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more on that one in just a minute. But I appreciate you sharing, Fernando. And I got to ask, how do you like your job being a professor? That sounds really interesting to me.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Oh, how
Can
do
you
you,
repeat, please?
do you enjoy your job as a professor? Because
Yeah, yeah.
that sounds really cool to me.
Yeah. The question is if I like
Yes.
my job.
Yep.
Yeah, I like so much my job. I'm very happy to listen mathematics and so is that I like so much it. Yeah.
Great. Oh, I'm happy to hear. Alrighty. Thank you, guys. Awesome conversation so far. I do have a little bit of vocabulary that I'd like for us to look at today and talk a little bit about. Marcella? Thank you. Okay. So we have a few terms up here, and it might be a little bit difficult to see on the TV here, but I will read them out to you. Now, when we talk about budgeting and managing where our money goes, depending on what we choose to buy or spend our money on, we have a few different categories or ways to separate our expenses. An expense is when you need to pay for something. And the first one that we'll look at is called a fixed expense. And if something is fixed, that means it does not change. And if we are able to understand our fixed expenses, it can really help us plan our budgeting for the future. Myself, I have student loan debt. When I went to college, I had to pay a lot of money, and each month I have to make a payment that is the exact same amount of money. And because the amount doesn't change, I'm able to plan exactly how much I'll be earning from work to pay off my student loan debt. Another example of a fixed expense, if you rent an apartment or if you have to pay your water bill, electricity, these expenses typically don't change by very much month to month. And we compare the idea of a fixed expense to a variable expense. And variable is just a fancy way of saying it changes. It is not the same amount every time. All of us, we have a combination of fixed expenses and variable expenses. And it's important that we understand what these are and how much we might be paying every month. That way, we can help or begin to start collecting some savings at the end of the month. A variable expense, we look at groceries, entertainment. Some people, the weather is getting nicer here in New England, in Massachusetts, in the United States. When the weather gets nicer, sometimes people decide to go out, maybe have a drink with some friends, maybe see a concert. These types of ideas are variable expenses because we don't do them every single month. The next term we'll look at is just savings. The idea with having a savings account is that when you put your money into the bank will actually pay you over time as a thank you for having your money in the bank. A savings account can absolutely help us in the future when we need some extra money for unplanned expenses. Somebody gets sick, maybe you need a car repair, your phone breaks. It's very nice to have some money that we know we can use in the future, just in case we have an emergency. It's typically, or most of the time, people would recommend that we have a savings account of about 6 months worth of our salary. So about half a year of work is a good amount for our savings account. And that is different for many, many people, including myself. It's very difficult to build a savings account when we also have to make payments each month. We can look at the word debt, D-E-B-T. Oh, the whiteboard's cool. That's okay. Debt is money that we have borrowed or money that we owe. It is very important that if we have debt, we try to pay it off as soon as possible. The one thing we can talk maybe a little bit, and we'll go back to our Zoom friends. How many of us have a credit card? We see some hands coming up. Okay. We see Luan, credit card. We have Daniela raising her hands. A few of us have a credit card. And a credit card, it seems like a magical piece of plastic where you can buy anything you might need. But whenever we buy something on a credit card, we're actually borrowing money from the bank to make that purchase. And if we cannot pay the purchase over time, the bank actually charges something called interest, which is a tiny bit more added each month. So, an example, if I borrow $100 or I spend $100 on my credit card and I don't pay it off, I have a debt of $100 and it takes me 1 year to pay off that $100. By the end of that year, I likely would have to pay maybe $105, even though I only borrowed $100. Understanding a little bit about interest can help us in the future and down the line with managing our money and creating a budget. And I'm sorry, this might be a little bit advanced with some of the language, but I'll try it for today, and we'll see how we're doing. I think we're doing great so far. Just the one thing, when you use a credit card, we should try to use the credit card for fixed expenses, routine purchases. For myself, I use my credit card when I go to the gas station. Just because, even if gas got a little bit more expensive, we all need to pay for gas to get to work and to live our life. And if you have to spend the money and you know that you can pay it off, I would recommend using a credit card. And another great thing about a credit card is that if you borrow money, you have debt, and you pay it off, it can help out your credit score, which will help you out in the future when you look to buy a house, buy a car, take out a loan from the bank for education. There's a lot of really great things that we can do if we have a credit card and we try to have very little debt on the credit card. Okay, let's see here. And just one more term. It's a little bit of a fancy word, but down here we have the word frugal. Frugal. It's a little bit uncommon, but if somebody is frugal, it means they are very careful with their money. They don't like spending it. And there are a lot of frugal people out in the world who, maybe instead of buying fast food or an in-app purchase for a video game, we choose to save the money. And frugal is just one of those unique adjectives that we have in the English language. Okay, I think we we did good on that. It might have been a little bit much, but we'll go back to some questions. I'm curious to hear from everybody. What are some smart ways to save money each month? If we have any ideas, I would love for you to share them and for us to talk together.
I'm not sure, but I think a good way to have savings every month is don't buy things when we don't use. For example, I can buy clothes this month, maybe because it starts the summer, but
Marcella?
the next season, I think it's not necessary. It's important to have a balance. I think that inclusive is important important. Don't eat every time, every day in a restaurant. Maybe it's more cheap. Cook dinner, cook lunch. I don't know.
I absolutely agree. Um, Many people spend a lot of money going out to restaurants, going out to lunch, and I agree. If we're able to cook dinner at home, it's definitely a lot cheaper. And also, when we go out to restaurants, I'm sure a lot of us where we've maybe gone out with some friends and maybe somebody orders a glass of wine or maybe an alcoholic beverage. And these drinks also really drive up the price when we go out to a restaurant. And you're 100% right. If we can cook food at home, we can definitely save a little bit of money. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Miriam, do you have something to add?
What I have to say is not an opinion. I couldn't get the concept of frugal.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep. Great question.
Could you repeat, please?
Yes. So frugal, it's an adjective, which means it's a word that describes a person, place, thing, idea, describes a noun. So in the case of frugal, we are describing a person. And I'm sure we all know people in our day-to-day life who might be frugal. Somebody who does not like to spend money. They want to save all of their money. And sometimes, if somebody is frugal, it can be difficult to convince them, hey, would you like to come to dinner tonight? Nope, I can't spend any money. Maybe somebody who's frugal, they'll go shopping and only buy one or two things. Yeah, just somebody who's very conscious. Yeah, so somebody who is frugal. Oh, no, no. Okay. That's a great question, too. Cool. Malika, do you have something to share? Ways?
Yes, teacher, I want to share an approach in budgeting. Uh, I'm trying to follow, but it seems to be hard. So it says that probably you have to put like 50% for like fixed expenses and 30% for like traveling and like stuff like hobbies and having fun, and 20% for savings. Um, it's hard for me to follow. I'm trying. Yes.
That it's tough for me too. And what you just explained is actually a very well-known concept when it comes to budgeting. We just explained, it's called the 50-30-20 rule. And it's a good baseline or starting point to begin budgeting our money. We have 50% of the money we make each month. That can go towards our fixed expenses. We look at rent, maybe student loan bills, medical expenses. 30% of our money, we can look at what is called discretionary spending, which is the idea of, well, if something is discretionary, maybe you don't need it to survive, but you really want it. A company like Amazon, they would be discretionary spending. If you ever go on Amazon.com and you go shopping, it can be really tempting to add a few items to your cart to check out. So discretionary, that 30%, some people, they might not spend 30% of their income on these discretionary ideas. And then the final 20% would go towards savings or investing. And for many people too, it does depend on how old we are, what we have or what we do for a job. But everything that you just explained is a very popular and trusted approach to budgeting our money. I'm impressed. That's really great. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's awesome. We'll go to Melvin. Do you have something to share for maybe?
Yes, well,
Yep.
yes, some smart ways I would say stay focused on priorities, right? Because that's one of the bad things of having a credit card. You know, everywhere you go, you have that credit card there available to buy things, and sometimes you just buy things that you really don't need. You don't really need. So that would be one thing, right? Just keep in mind that you have priorities and you have to cover those priorities or satisfy those priorities.
I really like that response.
Try to be careful with that credit card because it's true you have that money to spend, but at the end you will have to pay it off.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Melvin. Great answer. And I would like to share something with you based on what Melvin just said. I recently showed my students part of a documentary about a man named Warren Buffett. And in the documentary, there was a scene where Warren Buffett actually met Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, for the first time. And Bill Gates' father, he told Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, write down one word on a piece of paper that has led to your success. And Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, without talking to each other, they took the piece of paper and they wrote down the word focus. And Melvin, you nailed it, right? Perfectly. A lot of the time when we work with money, it's easy to get distracted or to get hung up on certain issues. But if we stay focused, we realize what we are saving for. We understand that with money, it's long-term, not short-term. Remaining focused can absolutely help us in the future. That is a great response, and I'm happy for you sharing that. Thank you very much. Cool. Let's see, we'll go to Fernando and then Miriam.
So, can I talk?
Yep.
Okay. Just a little talk. Has said Igor at Brazil, it's a very difficult to save money. It's not too easy to save money. But I think to I sorry. I think it's necessary or it's a very good idea if you make a course about financial education to learn how to save money. But I think again it's necessary to make a spreadsheet. It's a document with your bills, and with this document you can see where you use your money, and see this document. I think you can see or you can look for a space to save just a little bit of your money each month. I think it is a good idea.
I love that idea, Fernando. A spreadsheet. And if we don't have something like Microsoft Excel or a spreadsheet, even just on a piece of paper, if we're able to list out fixed expenses. You take your paper, here's everything that I have to spend money on this month. This is what it comes out to in total. Variable expenses, maybe I'm planning for a vacation in a few months. So I might want to save a little bit of money each month. That way you can afford to do what you would like in the future. And a spreadsheet is definitely a great start to trying to, get all of our ideas on paper. And sometimes when we're looking at everything that we need to spend our money on, it can really help us make some difficult decisions. For example, in the United States, so many people, they pay for Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Paramount. You name it, there's a streaming service always coming out. And there are so many people who might even, forget that they're paying for Netflix each month and they never watch Netflix. So with the idea of a spreadsheet, if we look at our either credit card report or debit card report, a bank statement, where we can see, what are we actually spending our money on? We write it down on paper, then we can go through the list and begin crossing some things off. Myself, a few months ago, I realized I was paying for a Disney Plus account that I never used. And I saw that charge come up on my debit card, and I canceled the account. And, just checking in every now and then to make sure that we're not spending money on things that we don't use. That can help us so much later on in the future. So great addition, Fernando, and great advice. I appreciate it. Miriam, would you like to share?
Yes. So one of the smart ways to save our money is just to focus on our goals. Example,
Did you catch that? Focus on our goals, she said. Oh, focus on our goals.
for the
Maybe our internet's not good.
sorry, our internet is a bit low.
That's okay. Yeah, if you want to try again.
Yes. So I'm not working to have any salary, but if I had and if I wanted to save something first of all, I will arrange that what I will save my money for. For example, my new phone, and I'll make a jar or something that whenever I saving money, I can put that money into that thing, and it will motivate a lot. For example, I can write small notes. For example, saving money for new bike or future for money, and it will motivate me a lot. And maybe we should cut something that we don't really need. For example, snacks, drinks, or often games, and skipping one soda a week. Maybe you can save $2 a week, and with that you can a lot of money. You can save a lot.
Yeah, excellent. I love that idea. And I think that's important too. Everybody on Earth is motivated in different ways. And I love the idea of maybe having a jar where you can put some money in, and it can motivate you when you start to see that jar begin to fill up a little bit. It can push you to keep saving, to keep trying. And I agree with what you mentioned earlier, how everybody has different financial goals. And it all depends on the life that we're living, the type of job we have, the area we live. So when it comes to advice, all advice is good advice. There's never a one thing that will help everybody. It's more of a sharing of a lot of different ideas. So I think what you mentioned, if it helps you personally stay motivated, keep doing it. Because there's a lot of people out there who don't have the same motivation. And they might even be able to benefit from hearing your idea. So I think that's great. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, nice. Let's see what we got next. Now this one, we have just under 10 minutes left. And this question, do schools teach enough about managing money? I'll tell you, in the United States, I went to public school, high school. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration. So I went to school to study business. And my entire educational journey, we really did not learn very much about how to manage money. And it's one thing that I really wish when I was growing up, I could have learned about. So I'm curious to hear from all of you. Have you ever been taught in school or university, maybe even by family or friends, a few good ways to manage our money? And we'll come back over here to our friends on Zoom. Luan, would you like to share?
Yes. Well, in my country, and I never learn about too much money. In the school, never teach me. Anybody, my familiar, my father, and my mother teach me how to manage my money, what I need, what I don't need, how prepare a budget. But in the schools, is not important manage money. In the university, really nothing interest for how manage your money. Is more interest how much you can pay for something. It's very interesting. The universities in Bolivia.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you for sharing. For me, I learned also from my parents, and I was lucky to have a little bit of help. But there are so many people who, they don't learn about this idea, and I would really recommend too, if this is a topic that you would like to learn more about, there are so many great free resources, either on YouTube, a lot of great books, if you like reading, that you can find at most libraries. Just having a little bit of background knowledge on money and savings can definitely help a lot of us in the future. And what I believe too, in the United States, kids are 18 years old when they decide to go to college. And going to college, you need to take out a huge loan from the bank to be able to afford your education. And many kids who are 18 years old, they don't learn about, what it actually means to take out a loan from the bank. And, I think that in a lot of cases, teaching some of these ideas, maybe a personal finance course, it can help so many people around the world. We work really hard for our money, and a lot of people get caught up, and maybe they have a difficult time saving when they could learn a few helpful tips that can help them in the future. So thank you for sharing that, Luan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Igor, would you like to add?
Yeah, I would say that we don't learn about how to save money in schools. And I personally just learned. I didn't learn so far, but I will learn something about this when I got older and I started to read some specific books or magazines. But that's my point. For most of us, we just think that's important to know how to manage money. It's important when we get old. And for most of us, it's maybe too late for that because you can't save a lot of money to gives you a better life or the life that you should like to have. So when you're younger and you can save money enough to have a better life when you get old, you don't care about that. So that's my point. Unfortunately, it would be a good thing if you have uh, money education in schools, but that's not the reality. And when we realize that this is important, it's it's too late. Not too late to live, but it's much more difficult today.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Absolutely. And I would like to maybe bring up another viewpoint too, that, even if we are getting a little bit older and maybe we haven't began looking into, and we haven't talked about this very much today, but investing, I still think it's a great skill to learn about. And if we plan on having children in the future too, we can use our knowledge of how to manage our money to begin saving very early on for our children. That way when they grow up, they'll have a nice account too. And I'm not sure if we have very much time left today, but I would like to share just really quick. There's an idea, we'll skip a tiny bit. Well, maybe if this is a topic that you would like to continue talking about, I would be really happy to prepare maybe a little bit more information for next week. But if not, that's okay too. But the world of investing and understanding the idea of, you save a little bit of money today, and if you have time, that's really all that matters when it comes to saving our money for the future. And, there are a lot of free courses online that can give us a great introduction to a lot of ideas that might be new for a lot of people. Personally, Investopedia is one of my favorites. Investopedia is a website that I actually use with my students in the classroom here at Approach. We are currently having a course about the economy. And something that's really cool, on Investopedia, there are so many free videos, articles to learn more about what we can do with our money, even if it's just a little bit. It can really begin helping us change our future. So I love Investopedia. If we have ever heard of Khan Academy, they also have a lot of really great free online resources that can help us out, maybe learn a little bit of vocabulary. And Fidelity Learning Center. I think these three websites can help us a lot in the future, just to learn a little bit more about it. And again, if this is a topic that you would like to keep talking about and learning about, maybe next week we can I'd be happy to show you guys a little bit about what these websites can offer. I'll come back for just another minute, just to check in with everybody. Today was a little bit different. Subject material was a little bit more, probably, than what we were expecting. But would you like to continue this conversation for next week, or have another topic? Seeing some thumbs up.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, cool. Also, next week, what I can do, I will create a document that we can share in the Zoom chat link, and that document will have a lot of vocabulary and different examples that I believe can help us out in the future. I promise. Next week we'll talk a little bit more, but I really appreciate it today, guys. This was a great conversation, and I'm very happy with all of you for sharing. So thank you.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Of course.
Thank you, teacher. See you.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much.
Mhm.